We've all heard the stories about the Appalachian region of the country. Tales of witches in the woods, luring children away from their families in the middle of the night. Mothman appearing before a catastrophe, costing the lives of countless citizens. And of course, the rule everyone lives by: if you hear a voice in the woods, no you didn't. But what about the more obscure legends of Appalachia? I'm sitting in my studio, and with me, as always, is my loyal beast, Orson, purring away as he sleeps on my lap. But what if he were about 6 feet taller, had 6 legs, and instead of chasing his fuzzy green ball, stalked the backwoods of East Tennessee? This week, we're talking about Wampus cat. What's a Wampus cat? Well, stick around to find out. That's right, Boogies. It's your resident internet sleuth, Alena Hex, and this is Spooky Boogie. It's the show where we stare into the darkness of American folklore told by the people who lived it. This week, we're taking a trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to learn about Wampus cat, the 6-legged feline monster of Cherokee legend. If this is the first time you've heard about Wampus cat, you're not alone. I had to Google it to be sure I wasn't being pranked because, well, come on, Wampus cat? Sounds like something kindergartners play at recess. But believe me, Wampus cat is not something to joke about. I actually had a really tough time narrowing down a meaningful description of the creature because every story is a little bit different. According to Dr. Internet, some people believe that the woman, once known as Running Deer, was hell-bent on revenge against the spirit of madness that drove her husband insane. To protect herself against the entity, she wore a booger mask that was equipped with the spirit of a mountain cat. When she finally confronted the spirit of madness, she turned its magic back on itself, driving it mad and causing it to disappear. When she returned to her village, the elders declared her a spiritual protector. Some tribes believe Running Deer's spirit still inhabits the Wampus cat. However, most people agree that Wampus cat was once a woman who was cursed for spying on a sacred ritual conducted by the village elders. She was bound in the animal skin she was wearing, which just so happened to be that of a bobcat. From that moment on, she was condemned to wander the forest forever, preying upon anyone or anything unlucky enough to come across her. Imagine that, a woman being punished for her curiosity. Okay. So I bet you're wondering what sort of spooky, ooky powers Wampus cat uses to hunt its prey. Well, like the old saying goes, curiosity killed the Wampus cat. Sorry, that was a lot funnier on paper. So most people say that Wampus cat has piercing yellow eyes that can hypnotize and paralyze her prey, unnatural stealth, and an unquenchable thirst for blood and vengeance. Now, there have been many alleged sightings of the Wampus cat over the years. In 1918, local pets disappeared, with one poor animal's owner seeing her dog being carried off in the mouth of what she called a giant, sneering bobcat. 14 years later, in 1932, farmers in Marion, North Carolina woke to find livestock slaughtered in their fields. According to historical documents, the only evidence of what kind of predator killed the livestock, aside from the serrated gashes in the animal's flesh, was 6 large paw prints leading into the woods nearby. These sorts of sightings continued all the way until recently, which is what brings us to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to talk to someone who got up close and personal with the Wampus cat. No, you're good right there. I'll just be here, and we're just gonna talk like we're having a normal conversation. Just ignore the microphone. We'll just be sitting here, and I have some questions, and we'll just get into it. Yeah, are you comfortable there? Does that feel like it's in your way? Okay, cool. Great. Yeah, looks like we are good to go. Why don't you start off by telling everyone your name and where you're from?
My name's Martha Roach. I'm from Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
We're so glad to have you with us, Martha. Can you tell us a little bit about your encounter with Wampus cat?
Yeah, sure. I've been in East Tennessee my whole life. I honestly wouldn't know how to be anywhere else, at least not at this point. Growing up, I'd find myself at all kinds of parties and gatherings my parents would drag us to. My daddy was a fiddle player, and it seemed like all his friends were musicians, so we'd sit there on couches and armchairs, listen to him play into the night. I'd fall asleep on the sofa in one of his friends' living rooms. The next thing I'd remember would be the feeling of my daddy's hand on my back, gently waking me so we could walk home. And during the summers, we'd sit around a fire, my daddy holding a beer in one hand and a hand-rolled cigarette in the other, and us kids smeared with chocolate and marshmallow fluff. Daddy would take a long swig of his beer, followed by an even longer drag of his cigarette, and lean in close. He'd get this grin on his face, like he knew how we'd take whatever he was about to tell us. Can you hand me one of those?
One of these?
Yeah.
Boogie's, I am handing Martha a hand-rolled cigarette just like her dad used to smoke.
What are you doing? Narrating things that I'm doing.
Oh, I'm this is only audio. I have to tell my listeners what's happening. Paint a word picture for them.
Word picture? Jesus Christ, this generation.
So, you're sitting around the fire with your dad.
Right. Daddy was a storyteller. When we were kids, he didn't bother reading from some hokey children's book. He'd come into our room, sit in the middle of the floor, and tell us the most wonderful stories. Things from his childhood, stories about our relatives, or sometimes a harebrained explanation for why things were the way they were. He once tried to convince us that there actually was a man in the moon, turning it on and off, which is why we didn't see it during the daytime. So when summer came around, my dad came alive.
That's so nice.
One night when I was probably 11 or 12, we were all sitting around the fire. My siblings and I had spent the day cleaning out the stalls where our horses were kept. I remember sitting there picking at the blisters that had developed from hours and hours of holding the splintery old shovels we kept in the barn. Daddy leaned in with that same telltale grin on his face and asked us a simple question. Had we ever heard of Wampus cat? And we all shook our heads. Daddy took a long swig of his beer. These parts used to belong to the natives, he told us. The Cherokees used to live right here in East Tennessee, keeping their livestock, hunting these woods. This land was theirs. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
I've done a little bit of research.
So you know that some woman named Running Deer who got caught snooping around some ceremony and got turned into Wampus cat then?
That's one story, yes.
Well, that's the story Daddy told us. None of us really took it all that seriously. Daddy was always telling tales, And in the summers, we'd sleep with our windows open. Our little house in the country didn't have air conditioning after all. I remember falling asleep to the sounds of crickets and the cows mooling around the fields. And one night, things felt different. You ever get the feeling that there's something wrong? Like you can't really put your finger on it, but something just ain't how it's supposed to be?
That's the name of the game with me.
Uh-huh. Anyways, I was lying in my bed trying to count sheep or something when everything got real quiet. I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Our room was in earshot of the pasture where we kept our cattle, and I could hear the bells around their necks beginning to clatter. I stood up and went to the window. I remember that night being dark, no moon, stars covered by clouds. It was like someone had draped a blanket over the sky. And I looked over at my brother and sister sleeping soundly in their beds. That's when I heard it. God in heaven, that sound coming from our cows. Have you ever heard the sound a cow makes as it's being killed? No, of course not. I have. That high-pitched wail coming from deep within a massive animal. The literal sound of fear itself crawling out from the deepest part of those simple creatures. Imagine that sound coming from 20 heads in the dead of night in the middle of goddamn nowhere. Do you mind handing me one of those?
Yeah, sure, of course.
I remember seeing Daddy running towards the pasture with his shotgun in his hand. I don't know how it happened, but I felt my own legs moving underneath me. I was running just behind him, my .22 under my arm, trying to keep up. The whole time I was telling myself maybe it was a pack of coyotes or mountain lions or something had gotten to him. Wouldn't have been that far-fetched. When we reached the pasture, it was already too late. I'd never seen anything like it. All of our cattle were lying in bloody heaps across the pasture, and I froze. Daddy kept moving forward, looking for any sign of what could have done that level of carnage in such a short amount of time. Daddy used to have this heavy mag light from his time in the service. He pulled it out from his overalls and shined it into the darkness. He slowly moved it from end to end of the pasture until it caught something, crouched behind one of the carcasses towards the tree line. At first, it looked like a mountain lion or coyote. Daddy's light moved just enough to see, gripping tightly to one of the haunches of the cow. A hand. Not a paw, a hand. A human hand.
Girl dinner, am I right?
Huh?
Sorry. I make jokes when I'm nervous. Please, go on.
Daddy fired a shot in the direction of the creature. It stopped what it was doing and slowly rose from behind the cow it was feeding on. The thing must have been 6 or 7 feet tall on its hind legs. It wasn't a mountain lion, and it sure as hell wasn't a coyote. It had this coarse fur that covered its entire body, but its face was a woman. She had 6 arms, just like yours and mine, but it was her face. Those eyes. You ever gotten a good look at an animal that knows its only option is to kill the thing that's got it cornered? I have. Before my daddy could squeeze off another shot from his rifle, that thing was upon him. Christ almighty, I've never seen something move so fast. Daddy had a reputation for being one of the toughest men in town. Tall, built like a brick shithouse. But that night, it didn't matter. Wampus cat don't care how big or mean you are. She's bigger, and she's definitely meaner. I'll never forget the sound of Daddy's cries. Him screaming at me to shoot her, to help him.
God, I can't even imagine.
It didn't take Wampus cat long to put Daddy out of his misery. When she finally got off of him, she turned and looked over at me, little petrified me standing there, my britches wet, sobbing, but I couldn't move. She kept low to the ground, her eyes glowing, the fur around her face smeared with blood. I tried to convince myself to actually point my gun at her, but my hands just wouldn't move. She pounced on me, knocking me to the ground. I could feel the full weight of her on top of me. Her claws dug into my neck and shoulders. I could feel her hot breath on my face and the torn flesh. Daddy's flesh, still wedged between her teeth.
Jesus Christ.
I bet you're curious about how I got this scar. This one, right here by my eye. I've seen you staring at it this whole time.
No, Sorry. I thought I was being subtle.
About as subtle as a bull in a china shop. It's fine. Everyone always wonders. I usually tell them some bullshit story about how a cat we had got spooked and scratched me while I was playing. Something cute and folksy. And it ain't entirely untrue.
Wampus cat gave you that scar?
Uh-huh. I was sure she was going to kill me that night. I mean, you have a 7-foot, 6-armed Catwoman creature on top of you. You assume she's going to rip you to shreds, especially after seeing what she did to our cattle and Daddy. But no. Instead, she left me with this. There's no big conclusion to this story. After Wampus cat carved me up, she just sauntered off back into the tree line. I lay there among the dead cows and Daddy until morning when my brother and sister found me. Doctor said I was catatonic or something. Probably from the grief of seeing Daddy killed by what they assumed to be a pack of coyotes or something. But I knew better. I tried to tell Mama about Wampus cat, but she'd always shush me and tell me that things were hard enough without my tall tales. You know, all these years later, I can't figure out why she chose us. Maybe we were the nearest farm. Maybe we were the only ones with cattle nearby. Maybe we were just really unlucky.
Have you seen Wampus cat since then?
Sometimes, when I'm alone at night and the lights are low, I think I see a shadow on my wall. Or I'll see outside my window. I don't let my dogs out at night anymore, at least not without me. Things are different out there when the sun goes down. Ain't nothing good beyond that tree line when the moon's out.
Your home that we're in right now, it sits on the same property the rest of your family lived on, correct?
That's right.
If this place is so dangerous, why not leave?
Leave? There's no leaving once Wampus cat mocks you.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
It's getting late. The sun will be down in an hour, so you don't want to be here when that happens.
Wait, Martha,
Trust me, it's better that you leave. I don't want you to make the same mistakes others have made.
Others? What others?
Never mind. Grab your shit. Come on. Quick.
Well, thanks for having me and for the story. You've lived an interesting life.
By the way, you ever hear of Wolf Bluff?
Wolf Bluff?
Yeah. Little town a bit farther southeast. Lots of spooky shit happens there. Even has a radio show called The Witching Hour, where people call in about the weird shit that happens there. Might be worth your time.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear that?
Does anyone know what happened to her? Anyone? Can someone please tell us what happened?
What are you talking about?
She was in the woods. God, look at her.
What's going on here? Martha? Are you okay?
Please, step aside. We need to do our job.
Fiona, why was she in the woods? I don't know. She was in the mines.
Longtime First Time is created by Austin Fields and produced by KNUCKLEDRAGGER Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Longtime First Time, Season 2, Episode 0 features Anna Maria Harvey as Alena Hex, Leslie Marbury as Martha Roach, Kristen Fields as Kit Greenville, and Kristen Ryder as Fiona. Sound design, mix, and score by KNUCKLEDRAGGER Studios. That's right, Longtime First Time is back for Season 2, coming fall of 2026. Stay in the know by following us on social media at LTFTpod. Be sure to rate and review, and as always, don't be shy. We're waiting for you.